Most people think that the rent trap is about housing. It's not. It's about responsibility and where it's been deferred for too long. You see, this isn't just a real estate type of episode. By no means is it. This isn't a rent versus buy debate. This is a conversation I want to introduce to you about control. Why so many capable, hardworking people feel like they've been drifting instead of directing their financial future. Now, after traveling through 15 cities and the Keep the Keys book tour, I've noticed patterns that weren't necessarily emotional, they were measurable. What were they? Let's get started here in 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Hey, 7-figure squad, what we go, run it up, run it up.
Now, before we go any farther, do this with me. In the comments, answer with one word, either control or drift. No explanations, just honesty. Let's talk. Where do you feel financially? Are you drifting or do you feel like you got control? Because when people defend renting, it usually says the same three things. They want flexibility, they want freedom, they want optionality. Those are all true things. I mean, who doesn't want that? Those aren't lies. But here's a distinction most people miss. Flexibility without direction isn't freedom. It's drift. Now, drift feels comfortable. Drift feels safe. But drift is also where responsibility slowly leaks away. And responsibility, when it starts leaking, control follows. At almost every Keep the Keys book tour stop, from Fredericksburg, Virginia, to Las Vegas, to Little Rock, Arkansas, I asked the room the same questions. And everybody in every city knew where the hood was and where the safe and good neighborhoods were, where the sketchy areas were and where the rich neighborhoods were at. Then I asked this question: which neighborhoods have more renters than owners? When the room, obviously they know where the hood's at. The room usually went quiet when it talked about these different areas because people realized something very, very dear, near to the heart about their neighborhoods. The safer neighborhoods weren't safer because of income. They were safer because people take care of what they own and not what they rent. You see, that's not an ideology. It's pure human behavior. I'll give an example. How many of you have ever rented a car? Do you treat a rental car differently than the car that you own? Most people that rent a car, they dog out that rental car. I mean, I'm guilty. I do that. But when it's my own car, my own vehicle, the one that I own, that I pay monthly payments on and monthly maintenance on, I take care of that. I don't care about the rental car because here's the reality. Ownership changes behavior. And behavior creates stability. And stability creates control. Now let's ground this in data, not just opinion. According to the Federal Reserve's survey of consumer finances, again reinforced by research published through Realtor.com and the Urban Institute, the median homeowner in America has a net worth between $400,000 and $430,000. The average renter, about just $10,000. That means the typical homeowner has roughly 40 times more net worth than the typical renter. Folks, that's not my number. That comes directly from the Federal Reserve, their Urban Institute, and National Housing Research summarized by Realtor.com. Now, this isn't a small gap. It's a structural one. And here's what matters even more. According to the Urban Institute, that wealth gap has been growing for decades. Over the last 30 plus years, the median wealth gap between owners and renters grew by 70%. The average wealth gap grew by more than 250%. This isn't because homeowners are smarter. It's because ownership forces long-term behavior. See, mortgage payments act like forced savings. Equity potential has a compound. Responsibility compounds over time. And when research removes home equity from the equation, homeowners still tend to have more non-housing wealth than renters. Again, this is straight from the Urban Institute analysis. Ownership trains discipline, and discipline preserves control. Now let's zoom out, because I don't want you to feel that you're taking this personally. According to housing market data analyzed by CoreLogic and Econofact, investors, not families, have accounted for nearly 30% of single-family home purchases in recent years in certain markets. That's a major shift. You see, institutions aren't trying to buy a home, they're buying entire neighborhoods. They don't need school districts. They don't need emotional attachment about their community roots. They're buying yield, buying rental streams. They're buying portfolio stability. There's been recent attention, including efforts by President Trump, to limit institutional investors from buying single-family homes. See, this isn't a political argument. It's context. Because when families compete one home at a time versus institutions buying in bulk, ownership becomes harder and renting becomes permanent. I mean, I'm facing it right now. We're looking to move our office space from Carrollton, Texas, up here to Plano, Frisco. And there's a building right down the street here on the 121. Brand new building, fully built, fully open, fully vacant, parking garage next to it. I love it. Why? In case the hail comes down, my cars are protected. But the commercial brokers, you know what they told me? Matt, it's already rented out. Complete, it's already rented out. It's not $40 a square feet. Somebody rented out at $60 a square feet, the entire building. I said, who rented out the entire building? I can't even get a suite in there. I can't even get a quote in there. Guy says, no. Toyota rented out the entire building. So I'm going up against publicly traded companies, institutions for the same square footage space. I'm not competing with the local chiropractor down the street. I'm not competing with the local restaurant down the street. I'm not competing with the local gym down the street for rental space. I'm competing with institutions and publicly traded companies that can outbid me in $60 a square feet, no big deal to them. Folks, this is not an opinion. This is market structure. So, quick pause. If this conversation hits close to home and you want to walk through your own personal financial situation or entrepreneur situation, not hypothetically, but personally, you and I can connect directly on this app called Connect. That's where people book time with me to talk through control, through sequencing, through blind spots, life insurance, decision structure. I want you guys to know, no pressure, no products. I can send you a text message in return. I can send you a voice message in return, or we can link up and do a 15-minute phone zone or a Zoom zone. We just want you to have clarity. Connect with me on this app called Connect. The link is in the description here on the screen and also in the description below. Let me be clear. Renting by itself is not the trap. I rented too. Early on in my life, I was a single father, 3 kids. I rented the least expensive house on the most expensive block. Now, that was a strategy. That wasn't accidental. I had a pre-agreed purchase price with the owner who was an attorney himself. I wasn't renting to drift. I was renting to observe, to learn, and to position myself. Now, that decision started my journey towards home ownership because I was renting with purpose. I was renting, and the difference, I was investing into my business, put into my savings. And what happened years later, even when my wife and I started dating and we started generating 7 figures of cash flow, guess what we still did? We rented. Not because we couldn't buy, because we weren't ready to anchor down yet. And we didn't think we were going to do it, but when we moved down to Dallas, Texas 4 or 5 years ago, we rented for a full year here in Louisville in the Castle Hills subdivision. Not because we couldn't find opportunity. It was not fear. It was discipline. We didn't yet know where we wanted to fully live, to raise our kids. Because I wanted a 10, 15, 20-minute radius between my house and work, house and kids' activities. I wanted to find a place where I can plant my roots. You see, control isn't about speed. It's about sequencing. Now, let me take a quick break. If you want to be in rooms where conversations like this happen, where sequencing, business planning, strategy happen with leaders who care about faith, about finance, about responsibility, I host a quarterly event here in Dallas, Texas called Cigars, Wealth, and Whiskey. Again, it's not a conference. It's a table. Tickets for the next event are available now, and we're inviting to a public conversation. I'm publicly interviewing him in front of everybody. Is Jeff Karcher, the Global Strategy Officer for the newly formed Texas Stock Exchange here February 12th. Get your tickets now. Early bird specials are on. It's about to run out here in the next 7 days, but make sure you get your ticket here for my next Cigars, Wealth, and Whiskey. Spots are limited. Get your ticket today. Now, at almost every book tour stop, I ask the same question. 10 years from now, everybody, do you want to be an owner or a renter? And I've always said this in front of everybody. There's no wrong answer because everybody's got a different progression. But here's what stood out. 80 to 90% of everybody there, they wanted to be an owner. And those who are owners, they want to own some more. Why? Stability, predictability, potential home appreciation and equity built up in the property. Because most people know they're not going to dramatically increase income by starting a business. A lot of people aren't going to be going into business for themselves. Some people shouldn't be in business for themselves. But ownership represented control, not perfection, control. So here's the real rent trap. The real rent trap is not just in renting by itself. It's renting without any intention, without strategy, without foresight. Renting, when it's just reactive, becomes indefinite, and that's the problem. Because planning becomes temporary. Responsibility stays external, like somebody else is supposed to help you out. Financial decisions also stay short-term when you're just a renter for most people. And here's the line I want you to remember. When your living situation is temporary, your also financial planning becomes temporary too. That's where control starts to leak. Now, if this episode resonates with you, I wrote the book, Keep the Keys, became a bestseller in 2 days. This book helps people think through these type of decisions clearly. You can get the book on my website. You can go to Amazon and get my book. But on my website, while you're there at keepthekeysbook.com, download my 2 free gifts for you. You don't have to buy the book. Just download the 2 free gifts I have for you, which is a clarity scorecard and worksheet. And they're designed to show you where control is leaking very objectively. Link is in the description. Scan this QR code. Get your free tools at keepthekeysbook.com. Now, the rent trap isn't about where you live. It's about where your responsibility lives. And when responsibility is delayed in one area, it spreads. It spreads into equity or lack thereof. It spreads into debt, the increase of it. It spreads into protection. Some people just don't have it. And it spreads into legacy because you never eventually create it. As you're watching this series here on the 7 Figure Squad YouTube channel, this series isn't about telling you what to do. It's about helping you see where control unknowingly is being surrendered. And unknowingly, even when your income is high, some people are thinking just because I make good income, I'm good, I'm set. Not necessarily so. Now, with that being said, I appreciate your time, your attention, but please put your biggest takeaway in the comment section below. If you haven't done so yet, make sure you smash that like button, you smash the subscribe button. You can come back here next Sunday too as well. Every Tuesdays is Millionaire Response. Make sure you check us out. Also, it's a YouTube Live where I'm responding to some of the biggest, most viral reels out there when it relates to faith, finance, and obviously stewardship. That being said, from Dallas, Texas, I'm your Money Smart guy. And until we meet again, continue to smart, and be money smart today.